I'm Kamerie Gibson. Welcome to the Kamerie Gibson Show, the podcast. I believe that one of the most precious gifts you can share with someone is your story. Pain has purpose and stories can change lives. Your journey to become more inspired and transformed by the lives of those around us starts now. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Kamerie Gibson Show, where we talk about transforming our pain into power. And today I have a special, beautiful, and very intelligent guest here with me today. His name is Martin. Martin, would you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience for us, please?
To Morehouse College, graduated in 2018. So that's most. Of course, we'll get into everything else, but yeah,
Well, congratulations. You graduated before the 2020 pandemic crew, so that's a blessing. Um,
yeah.
for sure. Okay, so Martin, go ahead and talk to us about where you're from. What is Inglewood like? Inglewood, California, to be specific, because I know there's an Inglewood in Chicago, but we're talking about the one in California. What was it like growing up in Inglewood for you?
As bad as it's portrayed. I grew up off 108th and Van Ness, so like but on the Inglewood side. So because that's like borderline South Central, but
Mhm.
uh, it wasn't as bad. Like when I was first born, I grew up by the farm, and then we moved to the family house on 108th and Van Ness. So it's like it was quiet on that side. A lot of older people, but it
Mhm.
was mostly black. So my whole life, I just was surrounded by black people, black families, and like I never really had identity issues like a lot of people I knew. Um,
Yep.
or at least Well, I'll get to that part later. But I grew up around black people. Let's see. My dad is a teacher, and my mom, she was always like a hardworking woman. To this day, I don't really know exactly what she does, but it's nothing crazy. She works in shipments and import exporting. Wherever you see freight, is her.
Wow. Okay.
But I don't know her job title, so I mean, I just know she makes her checks. So,
Yeah.
but I know my dad's a teacher, so because of that, me and my siblings were put in private schools. So
Wow.
difference
That's good.
between yeah. Sorry to cut you off.
No, no.
The ones we went to, ours was mostly black kids. So
Mm.
I don't really. And I asked my mom one day, like, how did you find that school? And she's like, oh yeah, we knew some people. I was like, that's usually how it is. But yeah, we we came up pretty well, you know. Yeah, sorry, my sister was over there. Well, as a kid, we don't know about privilege or any of that stuff, so we thought it was just a normal childhood. I mean, we didn't need or want it for anything, so that was a good thing. Uh, Eight, like early 2000s,
Wow.
we had to move out of the house. Um, yeah, we moved to the other side of Inglewood, Sentinel Park. Um, that's where it got because it's a whole different um, environment over there from the other side of Inglewood, but it's still Inglewood. But most of my friends were mostly from Baldwin Hills area, like mid city, like View Park, Windsor Hills. So it's like I never really connected with Inglewood people until I went to Inglewood High.
Mm.
Damn, y'all live in the same neighborhood I grew up in? Like we could have been homies
Mhm.
and shit, but
Right.
until I was in high school, so I was like, oh well, better late than never. But
Yeah.
because because when I was in third grade, my school closed down. Like, I went to a school right by the First Andy Church, so there was a private school over there. It closed down. I went to a white public school because my mom worked by the airport.
Okay.
And it was a transition. It's not a good transition
Damn.
from a black private school to a white public school. No, And
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't just white; it was controlled by white people. But there was also Mexicans, like the whitewashed ones that wish they were white.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure you know about them.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely Republican as hell. Very like very confused though. Very confused people. You got to be. But I wanted to touch on the divorce aspect. So my parents were never together, as far as I can remember. But when people talk about their parents being married and then getting divorced, I used to have a hard time empathizing with that. Like, oh, they just got divorced. What's the big deal? But it's like, no, for you to come into something, seeing something a certain way, and for it to be like broken and no longer, that does have an impact on a child, you know? So talk to me about how divorce really like rocked the boat for you when it came to like having to separate everything.
Well, as a kid, I just remember specifics because my mom only tell us so much because we're little kids. We're not gonna understand. Um, Same with my dad, and my dad's like my hero. So I'm like, yeah, but because like my dad was always there. He was always like, oh, we go to the beach on Sundays. We always go to baseball games. We always connected. I was like, that's literally my best friend to this day. But it's just different because you don't see him very often, and it's like, what happened? And then when my dad came back, well, he didn't come back, but like when the divorce was final and my dad was still like there in that visitation,
Mm.
I noticed this other woman was around. I'm like, who is this bitch?
Yeah.
But, um,
No. No.
Not like that was around the time. Well, my parents didn't get along at that time. Then my dad ended up moving back home to Rhode Island. I didn't start with that. My dad's from Rhode Island. He moved out here in the '70s. My
Okay.
mom's always from out here. She's from South Central. So,
Yeah.
um, what happened? Yeah. So every summer, or like some Christmases, every summer we'll go out there visit my dad. Uh, it was cool up until that lady started talking shit about my mom, and we didn't say nothing at first, but nothing. I guess they just got into it one day. My dad was like, "How do you really feel about her?" And I go, "This is why I love my sister. She dropped the ball. She dropped the ball because at first she dropped the ball, and my dad was like, she said all this." Like, oh, okay. He had that look, and he went up on her. He was like, don't ever speak on their mom, blah blah blah. Like, because at the end of the day, she raises three beautiful kids that we created, blah blah blah. That's when I was like, yo, I fuck with my dad because at the end of the day, he has respect for my mom. Um,
That's dope. That's a real man.
like my
Yeah.
dad don't play that shit, and uh, I guess we're back on talking terms, like at least communicating when my brother
Hmm.
graduated from high school.
Okay.
So of course, as from then we started really connecting more. My parents were being co-parents again, so like they haven't got back together. They're still friends to this day, but like they co-parent. They always excuse me, they always keep each other in the loop, and you know. But so it's just but of course, in the back of my mind, I still think like, damn, I wish they never got a divorce. Like
Wow.
things would have been way different. Experienced half the shit in my life, but it is what it is. I feel like I don't want to say stronger for. I just feel like I have insight now.
Mhm.
And my dad even admits to this day that he made a bunch of mistakes and he regrets them.
Wow. That's a man. Wait, what did you say something right now or no?
He like that he fucked up and
Mm-hmm.
person for us. I mean,
Hmm.
like, he's still gonna always be there. He always and I always tell you he's one of those dads that always wants to be involved. Like he
Mm.
never questioned wanting to be a father at all. So the thing.
Wow. Wow, that's beautiful, Martin. You're very blessed to have that. That's really dope. That's really special what you got in your daddy. So go daddies. I love my daddy too, man. So what did your parents experience divorcing, separating, having a co-parent? What did that teach you when it came to you dating and pursuing relationships with women?
For one, my mom is very strong. A lot of sacrifices for the people she loves, and that regardless if it's her own family or if it's us. You know, she always wants the best for us. She wanted us to have the best regardless. She always worked very hard. Taught me. Um, it I should be more. I should be stronger for her because I know she has a lot on her shoulders, and that I should try to make her life a little easier. You know, everybody's life is hard to some degree, but if I could just at least ease it a little, do what I can to ease the stress, that's what I would try. So that's why I try to stay out of trouble. I try to do better in school, like because my mom was also, no matter how hard she worked, she would always show up for parent teacher conferences. Was yell at the teacher people for shit that I did. She was one of those that, oh, what did Martin do? I'll handle it.
I love that. I love that. I love that. What a queen. She sound like she is. She must be. Um, what has been the most difficult thing for you in becoming Martin, the man today? What has been the most challenging in discovering who you are?
Be like everybody else. I think um back to fourth grade when I started hanging around or going to a white school. So it all started then. Because I was so used to being around black people all the time, it was hard for me to adjust to being around whites. Like
Hmm.
because I didn't watch the same shows. Like I was too black to hang out with the white kids. I was too whitewashed to hang out with the black kids. Because regardless, I was always smart. I always had a higher vocabulary. I was read above everybody, so it was just that was always the hard thing. I always felt like I had to fit in, at
Hmm.
first, and then and that's what troubled me was that me trying to fit in ended up hurting me the most. Honestly, middle school should be abolished. That's a terrible time for everybody.
Honestly, it should be. Oh, excuse me. It should be.
It's a terrible place. Like it's really a trigger. It's really a triggering time. Um, I've gotten so much insults and like people from people I thought I fucked with or that I thought was cool with me. Like I got bullied because I know my parents don't make enough, and I'm like, how y'all even know my status in life? Like that is fucking
Right.
grimy, bro. Like what the fuck? And the problem with it is because I was going to school, because I was technically going to school outside of my district, I couldn't fight nobody because I was on permit,
Mm.
leaving defending myself. I couldn't do that and they could because they live around the corner. All they did is like a little suspension and bullshit. So, you know, but I had to kind of, focus on my own shit and just like, ignore it or tell them, hey, let's take it to the park if you're really about it. And that's when I realized niggas are bitches. So,
Yep. That's facts. When you try to give them a way out, they be like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna just talk my shit on campus." But you know what? You know what? I realized when I got older though, because I felt like that too, going to like all these hood schools. Dorsey. I went to Audubon for a bit, and this for some obviously things are changing now, but being smart and pursuing like reading and intellect, black kids just they saw that as being lame, being they called me weirdo. I was called weirdo my whole childhood. And then when I got older, I was like, no, I wasn't weird. I was actually thinking ahead of my peers, and it's actually worked for me. And I just can relate to what you just said earlier about just, feeling like different and like ostracized, not being able to fit in anywhere. But it's really those people. They see something in you that we didn't see at that young age, and so they hated on us for it. They couldn't understand it. So I just, if anything, I feel empathy for those people. I feel sorry for them. They didn't understand what they had before them. Because you could have, look, you went to Morehouse College. Look, you know, like you could have been the one to liberate them from their ignorance, but they couldn't even see that at the time. So I get how that is. But what influenced you to choose the decision to go to an HBCU, specifically Morehouse?
Or I always because I because it wasn't until high school where I embraced that I was different. Um, I that's part of the reason I chose Morehouse. My dad wanted me to go to
Mm-hmm.
Morehouse from when I was a little kid. Uh, he
Mm-hmm.
always instilled it in us. He always had a plan like, oh, my brother's gonna go to Brown. He ended up going somewhere else. My sister was gonna go either Howard or Spelman, and my sister did go to Spelman. She graduated. Um,
Okay.
but was my dad was always big on, hey, you got to like as much as I've said, you're going to go to Morehouse. You got to at least see the school. You can't just go in blindly. You got to see what you're getting into. So he sent me on a college tour, and so like the tour, it just felt right. And um, it's funny. I came back to school. My Avid teacher at the time, she was like, "Oh, tell us about the trip." I was like, "I loved it. I love the culture of HBCUs. I have to go to Howard's homecoming." And I was like, I think I have it on my mind. Like I'm going to an HBCU. My top choices are Howard and Morehouse. And and she was like, "Yeah, you should probably think about, a Cal State. You gotta have options." I was like, "Nah, I already talked it over with my parents. I
Right.
already had this conversation. My mom's on board. Like she'll
Yeah.
like my parents are very willing to put me through it. And my mom even said, like, I'm not sending you to a school that's close. Like you might as well just stay home. Like you got to get out
Mm-hmm.
and be yourself. Like learn something new. LA's always going to be here. You've seen LA.
Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
like, and honestly, like none of my homies is going to Morehouse. Most of my homies were football players like me, track athletes, just athletes in general. So um, a lot of them honestly weren't even going to college. But my cheerleader friends, they're also athletes. Um, they, so I was like, I hung out. I hung out with them more because for one, they're cool ass people, and then two, like they're on their shit, always in the book. So I always gravitated more towards women because they're more focused. And to this day, they're still my friends. I love them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, but I chose Morehouse because I wanted to be around my own people. And
Mm-hmm.
being from Inglewood, you don't see it. Well, at the time, you didn't see a lot of uh, motivation to do anything
Mm-hmm.
to get bitches, but
Yep.
motivation to go D1 and put your highlight tape up. I mean, that's cool,
Yep.
if you got offers and shit. I would hope that it worked out for you. But I knew personally, I was not going D1. I sucked at football. I mean, I didn't suck at I was average at best. But I wasn't a football player. I was just on the football team. I got a uniform
Yeah.
and some and front row seat. But I just knew that I had a bigger vision, and I wanted to go to Morehouse because I wanted to be around my own people that have the same vision in mind. So yeah, that was my choice to leave.
And what gems did you learn being around all of those intelligent black men, being around intelligent black women at Clark, at Spelman? Spelman was my dream school. I didn't get in 3 times, but hey, God took me a different way. But talk to me about
But
those. So what?
then you're fine.
I know. But what did you learn being there at Morehouse? I would love to know.
Was that it rains all the time in Atlanta, and I'm not used to that shit. And secondly, I learned that black people are very very diverse. Like
Mm-hmm.
more like LA, you kind of have like this one idea of black people
Yep. Yep.
that go around black people from everywhere, whether it's Chicago or the Bay or New York, Atlanta or PG County, Maryland. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, you learn that everybody's diverse and unique in their own special way, and everybody's talented. Like, they don't have to be necessarily singing or dancing, which a lot of them are. Let's not act like that's not a talent, but they're talented in other ways. A lot of people could fucking do poetry. There's people that play multiple instruments. That it's just beautiful to see people just coexist with each other, and they're just talented in many ways. And that's what made me gravitate towards uh, people in Morehouse. Like just learning new people, learning that what they could bring. Well, not that learning that they are the table, not what they could bring to the table.
They are the table. I like that.
It's a beautiful city. I just learned to appreciate it more as of recently because I went to homecoming this past October, and honestly, that was the first time in a long time I've had fun in Atlanta. I have a love hate relationship with the city. Like, not the
Hmm.
schools, it's the city. I just think this is too slow for me. Like, I'm from LA.
Mm.
Everything's fast paced. But
Yep.
um I've learned to appreciate Atlanta for what it is. It's like the black mecca. Everywhere you go, you see black people in charge of shit. And I just love that.
Hmm.
And
It's
but I did have my share of ups and downs in Morehouse. I mean, everybody does. That's just part of life. And I've learned to accept it. It's like, of course, you want to go back and change some things, but it's like at the end of the day, it's a beautiful experience. I left with a degree, so you know, it's all good. I have no regrets at this point.
Yeah, I'm actually planning to move to Atlanta for that same thing you mentioned. I want to be around black hustlers, business people, like-minded people that's on their grind. For me, just LA just it doesn't have an abundance of that, so I want to be around it, you know. So I'm glad you shared that with me. I'm definitely gonna hit you up after this to kind of see, what I should prepare for before I go out there. Being from LA, both of us is different, and like you said, it probably is slow pace compared to what we're used to. But
They don't like us.
you said
They
they don't like us.
well,
That's how it is. We from California. We from California.
they just don't. I feel like we see differently. How like I never met. I also didn't touch on this. There's a lot of conservative thinking black folks out there, like
Mm.
very conservative thinking, and it's like I'm used to people being liberals and they can like be more accepting of others and being different. But in Atlanta, it's either this way or no way.
Wow.
Like,
Really?
triggering at times. Like, yet I've
Mm.
gotten into a lot of heated discussions about just
Really?
politics and life. Yeah, and
Yeah. Okay.
but I've learned to dial it down and just let people express themselves, and then I express
Mm.
myself, and hopefully we come to like a healthy medium because you can't change people's minds unless they want to learn.
Of course. And it's better to seek to try to understand one another as opposed to trying to convince or sway someone from what their beliefs are because we don't know what everybody has been through. Everybody has different experiences, and being from LA, being from a city like ours, one of the hottest cities in America, you're gonna be different. You're gonna think different. It's just bound to happen. And I respect it. I appreciate it. When you left Morehouse, though, and you were thrown into the real world, what lessons did you start to learn about how valuable your degree was or wasn't, when it came to like the workforce?
That was actually part of the reason I moved back to LA.
Mm.
Because I felt like my degree didn't mean shit.
I know that's right, for real,
I felt
man.
like my shit did not. I felt like my shit stank. Um,
Ah, for real.
yeah, like I was trying. I was trying to find jobs and shit. But because I graduated in May, I think I left
Mhm.
Atlanta by the beginning of August of that year
Okay.
because I paid through my lease in my apartment at the time, and I was good that way. But as far as like getting a job and shit, it was not easy.
Mm.
Like I've been led
Yeah.
astray. He was,
Yep.
and so yeah, I was just like, you know what, like this is not working for me right now. Let me at least go home, get my shit right, and if the
Yep.
opportunity comes back, I'm gonna move back. But obviously, it's been damn near 5 years, and I'm still here. But
Do you?
and I'm really not in a complete rush to go back. I've kind of like, well, for one, there's been a pandemic, and that kind of slowed everything down. But but most of my real good friends are still out there. They're fucking thriving, and I love it because, and and again, homecoming was the first time I've seen most of them in like 3 years. So it was just like beautiful to see them all healthy and thriving and just living life, you know? And but as far as like the workforce and shit, it was just it made me realize, man, I should have probably applied to grad school. Damn,
Man,
I
yeah.
didn't put that. Even if my GPA wasn't the best, or at least to my standards the best, like I should have still applied because at the end of the day, the worst they can do is tell you no.
Mm-hmm. No,
I
yeah.
was under impression I'm gonna take a break and I'm gonna come back. That yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that break turned into 5 years, but I still have it in my mind though. I want to get another degree, but when
Yeah.
and what I haven't figured that out yet.
And it's okay. Look, I'm in Lancaster with my mom and my sisters, managing my finances, learning how to be an adult even better than I was when I was on my own. I made a lot of mistakes, being broke. I graduated in 6 years from college. I graduated last May at 24 years old. So, I mean, it's a learning process.
Graduated. That's all that fucking matters. I have homies that graduated that just started to go to school. So
See? And look, how I see it, my mother, she's gonna be in her 50s. They're not gonna be here forever. And she always tells me, use me. Use me when I'm here because when I'm gone, you on your own. So I take that very like wholeheartedly. Like let me be as close to my people as I can. I love them and my family. I really do. If I could get a big ass house and move all of us in together, I would do that. Like I love them that much. And being out here in the real world, you see that family it's nothing like having family, and nobody gonna love you as much as your family do truly, if you have a healthy family. So it's nothing to like try to leave or escape from. In fact, when you stick with your family, that's really how you build wealth. That's how you save your money so you can get your own home, right? Because like you said, we've been misled. We've been misled about this whole let me do my own thing, let me be independent. Nah, we gotta stick together, so
I agree with that because I talk about that all the time with my sister. Like we like because we still stay at home, and my mom is perfectly fine with it because she'd rather us stay home and be safe than be on the street struggling, you know. And besides, like our parents love us; they're not going to turn us away or kick us out or like. 'Cause I mean, for one, we're not terrible people, and then two,
right.
like she just doesn't want us. She wants us to build up wealth and stack up and basically help ourselves and get ourselves together before
Mm-hmm.
we even try to make that step. Because and if anything
Yep.
happens, like for example, my brother lives on his own, but if anything happened to him, my mom's door is always going to be open. So it's not like
Yep.
we don't have no. It's not like we have nowhere to go. Like
Yep.
and I have a lot of friends who unfortunately still they have that mindset where they feel like they have to move out, where they have to be independent and stuff. Like I get that. Some people want the independence, but a lot of them, I know, like a lot of them, it's because they have to, not because they want to.
Mm-hmm.
I really
Yep.
wish it wasn't like that for a lot of people because it's not healthy. Like you shouldn't have to learn things the hard way. You shouldn't have to
Yep.
because that's literally what separates. That's really what messes up us as a community. And
Yep.
like we should, and I don't know, it's just a lot. But I am forever grateful for it. That's why I try not to compare myself to others. Um,
You shouldn't.
I try myself to anybody that's has their own place, has their own stuff. I mean, cool, that's great. I mean, I have my own car, that's cool. I mean, I can get around,
Yeah.
but because there's a lot of people that literally would judge your status off the fact that you still live at home, and it's like maybe I'm
So,
trying to get my shit together. Like I'm not trying to struggle.
what did Nipsey Hussle say? Stay with your family, stack up your bread, learn yourself, learn how credit work, how business credit work. Like this is a marathon. Remember, it's not a race.
I tell people like it's you got to run your own marathon, you got to run your own race. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's really like you can't live on social media expectations. I promise you. Like you're gonna
Yep.
be very end up very disappointed. That's why I have to try to stop myself sometimes. I'm like, you know what? Let me just put the phone down and go do something else.
Yep.
Let me go
Yep.
watch a basketball game or some shit. Like that's why I tell people
Yeah.
maybe y'all should put your phone down, enjoy things in the moment. That's why, and I love to tell people this. I don't take a lot of pictures of shit because it's like
Mm-hmm.
if I see somebody in the club selfieing it up and everything, they're not enjoying the stuff. They're just doing
Yep. Yep.
time. I barely took pictures
Yep.
when I was at homecoming. I was just living in the
Mm-hmm.
moment, living, just being around my friends. Like it was a beautiful sight. Like that was a beautiful time. we got 3 years worth of partying out in one weekend, and that was, for one, it was draining, but
Right.
but yeah, just just enjoy life while we're still young and healthy. I mean, of course, in the future, when you have kids and a family, you could pass on the love to them, but we'll wait for that then.
Yeah, I love that. And we can't get so caught up in what social media says, but social media is only a glimpse of what the real shit look like. So don't let that shit get to you, especially our generation. We grew up having no internet, and the internet came and took over our lives, so we kind of have that back and forth. Oh, but so yeah, I wanted to ask you, what does happiness ultimately look like for you?
To me, is basically me being able to live comfortably, like be like $1 billion rich. I mean, it'll be nice, but as long as I could be able to do what I want without having to worry about anything. And uh, I want to be able to live and have experiences. Like I've just started doing this thing where every time I travel, I try to take a memento and bring it back because I've noticed that my mom does that, or at least like when you go over to like your relative's house or whatever, you start to notice things like, oh, what's that? Everything has a story. So that's what I want is I want to have a story for everything. Like, oh, this right here, like this shot glass is when I went to Puerto Rico. Like I was just, everything has to have. For me, I like storytelling. So
I love that.
like, it makes me happy just sharing experiences. That just shows that you're living in the moment and that you want to remember it. Because at the end of the day, you could forget a lot of things, but
Yeah.
experiences like be happy that I've done things that I've wanted to do, and I don't want to live with regrets.
Yeah, I love that. So, speaking of regrets and leaving this earth, before you leave this earth in the physical, what do you absolutely have to accomplish before you leave?
World.
Okay.
I've already been to. Well, I have a whole passport. That was, I'm not gonna lie, that was my mom's graduation gift for me when I left college. Um,
Aw.
yeah, she basically funded my passport, and I have not
Wow.
used it yet. It's been 5 years.
You got you got 5 more years.
I'm like, it's collecting dust. It still has a new passport smell. I know exactly where it's at. Why the fuck am I not using it? Like,
Mm-hmm.
well, actually, I lied. I've used it once, and that was to renew my license. Got a real ID.
Okay. Okay. So you got that real ID.
No,
Okay.
but that's on my agenda for next year, 2023. And opportunities is just, you need money. And also, for 2 years, we were stuck in a pandemic. So that kind of set a lot of things back. Um, which honestly, I'm starting to realize, like, we've really been affected by a lot. Us as, like, people born in the 90s, that when we first people for internet, video games, like cell phones, social media, and then the
Yep.
fucking pandemic on top of that, like, that's crazy. Like,
Crazy.
I started to think, like, damn, we really been through it all. We're, like, really the greatest generation. And we're really gonna change
Really.
shit. Like, I mean,
Really are.
you can say whatever about the World War II generation, but us right now, nah, this is a new day. It's crazy.
We're literally a guinea pig, literally. Like I think I had an Instagram since like I was like 14 or 15, Facebook maybe 13. Remember like people were posting like nude pictures and shit. Like we were literally like guinea pigs for all this shit. At least millennials, they were in college when this shit dropped. We weren't. We were so malleable as babies and young people. Like we don't know how this stuff is going to affect a lot of people that aren't mentally, equipped to handle it. So you're right, we are tough. So they better stop playing with us. I know I'm Gen Z, I'm 97, but even before that, like they better stop disrespecting us. Like we weak
It's fucked up because
for real.
like older people try to say like, oh yeah, we're always on our phones, we're always doing this. I'm like, first of all, let's not act like y'all didn't put the phones in our hands first.
Right,
Like,
right,
who's real? So
right,
who's at fault? You feel me? But
right.
like, I don't know. Like,
You got
we
it.
really have gone through a lot, and like, the world is really catered around us because we're the ones that's literally starting to wake up and feel this shit now. And
Yep.
I feel like
Yep.
I know it's not gonna happen right now. We're just waiting for the old fucking people to die off so we could take over.
Yeah.
But we're
Oh
gonna be making some
yeah.
change. I'll give it about 20, 30 years. Not It's not gonna be tomorrow, but in about 20, 30 years when we're all able to run for office, yeah, we're gonna make some fucking change.
We finna be tatted up, piercings, everything. Look at your arm right
Shit, you
now.
feel me?
Look.
And I just got a back tattoo
Yep.
yesterday, so fuck it. I'm on.
Exactly. So all them baby boomers that's hiring us, we gonna be like, nah, we ain't doing that no more. We got different plans for y'all. Um, what would you tell the younger Martin with the wisdom you have now?
Let's hit his push ups because you're gonna be short for the rest of your life, and you might as well be buff.
You might as well be. Yes. I love you, a buff, short man. If you short, you gotta have the muscles on you to protect me. Because women just want to know that you can protect us. Can you protect me? You short, but can you do something if something happen? That's it.
I think like I might be short, but at least I read books and I can at least lift shit. You know, shit,
Yep.
lift your queen
Yep.
up. She wants to be picked up. But
You know, for real, we do. Let us know. But
the first thing, the second. Sorry to cut you off.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
And the second thing is, just basically run your race. Don't try to be like somebody else. Be yourself. Like
Mm,
love yourself. Don't think that what you're doing is weird because other people are saying it. Like no, you're doing it because you think it's cool. You think it's fun. Like people are eventually gonna people are eventually gonna realize that what they've been saying about you is wrong.
that's true.
Just love who you are. You're gonna thank yourself for it. Like
Mm-hmm.
don't try to fit a mold that somebody else put, that somebody beneath you. And I hate to use that word. Somebody that's not necessarily on your level that they're trying to put because
Mm-hmm.
they're just haters.
They are.
They're just trying to diminish you because they're insecure about themselves. Don't.
Yep.
So that's all.
I love that. That's real. And that's very important for other young men like yourself who, just like you, being transferred from different schools, different cultures, it's not easy. But like, you shouldn't punish yourself for things that were out of your control. You should always be yourself. Only losers follow what other people do. Because guess what? Being unique is where the real trendsetting happens. That's where the influence happens. The people that are willing to like do things outside of what everybody else is doing. Break out of the herd. So kudos to people like you and myself. Um, yeah, last question for you though, Martin. You've been doing really good, being open and being vulnerable in this conversation. What what do you hope to see more of in this world that you're not seeing? What are you tired of not seeing? What do you want to see more of in this world?
See it more, but I feel like as men, we're not accepting it. We're seeing more women in power, but I want us men to just accept that you know
Mm,
actually do some shit.
mm-hmm.
Doing it just for the title. They're doing it because they want to see change. They want to actually invoke it, and you know they don't just do it. They don't do it just to flex on us. They don't
No.
do that shit to flex on us at all. They want to see positive change. And like for example, like Karen Bass, that was the most. That was I had to look this up. She's the first woman mayor in LA. I mean, a black woman, but the first woman in LA's long ass history. We've been around since the 1860s. Well, wait,
Wow.
correct me if I'm wrong. 1850 something. Like that. For how long LA's been around, but for that long ass 170 plus year time, we haven't had a woman as a fucking mayor. That's crazy. And Atlanta has had three of them.
Wow. Wow.
Like, why are we just now getting this? But obviously, we need some change, and 2022 is the year that it starts. So, I hope to see
Yep.
more black men at least like embrace that. Um, that the change is coming, and if a
Yeah.
black woman runs your house, they could like, and you turned out well, they could they could run everything. We've already put a
Yeah.
lot of burden on their shoulders. We
Mm.
and we should probably take a step to the side and make things a little easier for them. You know,
And look, no matter what anybody, any woman, any black woman, man, whatever say, we need our black man to protect us and have our back because we are nothing without black men having our back because you're still a woman. You're still susceptible to male manipulation. This is unfortunately ran by males, white men. So don't let anybody, the Forbes people, fool y'all. We need y'all. Y'all are our backbone. Y'all keep us safe and protected. Y'all keep us loved and respected by any other race that tries to disrespect us. We need y'all, And like you said, we're not trying to flex. We're not trying to prove that we can do what y'all can do because we cannot. I don't care what nobody said. We can never do what a man can do in the way that y'all can do it. Black men are gods and are the most, feared and disrespected and most, tarnished group of people and endangered people for a reason. People see that God shit in y'all, So I just want y'all to know that we just want to protect, humanity. We give life. We want to see that being preserved. That's the bottom line, So,
I didn't realize like how powerful it was to be a black man until I started like achieving shit. Because along with being a college rat, I'm also an Eagle Scout. So, um,
okay.
like that's the highest ranking Boy Scouts. Like only like a fraction of all of them has ever made it. I think it's like 2%, and very less or way less are black. So, and it's funny. I'm gonna tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
I remember after I made Eagle Scout, I went to camp with my Boy Scout troop as an adult leader. Now, adult leaders don't do shit. I was bored the whole time. So this one guy walks up, white guy. He's like, "So you just gonna kick it here all day?" Because I was just sitting there reading a book. And he was like, "Yeah, pretty much." He's like, "Oh, so you're just not gonna make no merit badges?" And I'm like, "Nah." And I could read between the lines what he was saying. He was basically saying I'm lazy and not doing shit, or whatever. So let a couple days go by because he kept coming by and asking same shit. And he noticed me in the adult leaders meeting. He was like, "Oh, like what are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I'm just filling in." I'm like, "All right." So he saw me at an adult leader event, like the zip lining. He was like, "Oh, I didn't realize you're an adult leader." I was like, "Yeah, I'm 19, bro." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." Then on the last night, they always bring up the Eagle Scouts, and I announced my stuff, and he was like, "Oh my God, I didn't realize you were an Eagle Scout." I was like, "Yeah, uh, I made that last year." I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm sorry. I had a whole different outlook of you." I was like, "Yeah, you should probably not judge a book by its cover." And I just walked off.
Hmm. Hmm. Yep.
So good saying that, having a white man kiss your
Yep.
ass for that. And I was like,
Yep. How dare you? No. How dare you? How dare you assume less of me just because I look this way? And what does me looking this way mean, really? What? So I'm glad you said that. I'm glad
and
you said
mind you,
that.
I was minding my business. I did not say a
Mm-hmm.
word to that man until he said to me.
Mm-hmm. Basically trying to test your masculinity and your purpose, Like, nah, I know why I'm here. I'm reading my damn book. Fool, get up on my face.
We just
Yeah.
chilling. I'm supervising because my other adult leaders couldn't, and I filled in. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just little things like that. That's why I always tell people, it's a time and place for anger and, you know, anger and things like that. It could be Malcolm X all you want. I respect that, but to also learn that, you don't need to do that. Just gotta, you just
Mm-hmm.
gotta run your own path. Don't react, you know?